got it in after a long fight. Had to take it all the way down the dock and get it all the way. Then I had to jump in the water and grab it and pull it out of the water. That was a bull. It was a bull. We lost some big ones that night too. Most were about 4 foot. We caught 4 inches.
I love Key Largo having our family down
Yeah,
there. So.
yeah, I enjoyed it too. That trip we started went down to Key West, started in Key West, did the Key West and then worked our way up and then stayed the last.
At one point in my life where I went Key West, but I love Key Largo having our.
Yeah.
And
Islamorada.
Yeah, getting out of the boat down there.
Yeah, a little more chill too. Oh, you ready? All right.
Yep.
I'll talk to you.
I'm gonna have to drive a wood in the neighborhood to build a fire.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone today to the Pasco MPO meeting. I want to call it to order, and it is 10:07. We're going to have the invocation followed by the pledge. Can we all stand for the invocation?
Merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence, and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I want to again thank everyone for being here. And let me get my script here. Excuse me a second. The first item that we have on the agenda for today, and excuse me, I left my glasses in the car, so I'd be squinting a bit, is a call for public input.
Roll call.
Oh,
You have roll call first.
is it?
Yes.
Did I move? Oh, thank you. Keep me straight, guys. I might need to borrow your glasses, Ron. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Let's have the roll call.
Mayor Camille Hernandez. Mayor Scott Tremblay.
Here.
Councilman Matt Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Catherine Starkey. Here. Commissioner Christina Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Commissioner Jack Mariano. Chairman Lance Smith.
I'm here, and thank you. Thanks again for helping me keep this straight. And I did have a call from Camille that said she was not going to be here, so we did understand she wouldn't be attending today.
If I may add,
Yes.
Commissioner Mariano indicated he would be trying to join us through WebEx as he is traveling today.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, now I think we're to the call for public input. And the call is for anybody who'd like to speak to anything that is not necessarily on the agenda. You can speak to an item that is on the agenda. But do we have anybody who's wanting to speak to any other item today? Seeing no one rise, is there anybody on? Oh, we have one person. Okay, can you please state your name and your address for the record?
My name is Christy Zimmer. I live at 3615 Pinecone Court in Land O'Lakes. You guys are going to be tasked with a choice to make today, and I hope it doesn't have to be that way. So, I attended the CAC meeting this week, and you had 2 representatives show up, Clint and Tom Ryan. No alternates, no other representatives. You've got 2 people in here you're going to have to choose between for an at-large position. And it's really sad because we're both passionate and we both want to be involved and we attend the meetings. We attend these meetings and we're attending the CAC meetings. And I would ask if there is a way that you could find a way to put both of us on the board so we could at least try to have a quorum, it would be a really good thing. I don't know how you can do it, but you've got 2 great people that are wanting to serve, and yet you don't even have your own representatives and alternates showing up at the meetings. So again, historically, that's always been a problem, and hopefully you can address that with your appointees. but I hope you take into consideration some sort of viable way of being able to put us both on this board. Thank you.
Christie, thank you for that input.
Well, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Since we're on the subject, Carl, to that point, since we're going to have to vote on this later, do we have the attendance record available for the current CAC membership? I think either by ordinance, and David might have to get on this, either by ordinance, I don't know if it's by statute, but maybe it's by ordinance, they are supposed to attend so many per year, and if they do not, they can be pulled off the CAC.
So we do have that information available. It's not with me here at the moment. I also would like to note for the board, I bear some responsibility for the low attendance. We had moved the meeting from its regularly scheduled time and set it back 1 week. And that was due to some other obligations with the MPO. So it was an out-of-character timing, if you will. But yes, I can get you that information you requested. I also wanted to add that other piece of information for you.
Okay, so since we are voting today, it's going to be imperative that we probably have that information today. I don't know if you have anybody in your office or anybody that can pull that information prior to us voting on this item.
I believe it would take us, looking back through meeting minutes, to assemble who was there at which meetings, which we have those records. It would take a bit of time. So we had looked at that previously, I believe, when we were revamping the membership to the CAC, and we brought that to the last MPO meeting. But I don't have that available at this exact moment, and I apologize to you, sir.
Okay, and maybe we can discuss this further when we come to the item on the
Yeah,
agenda.
what I wanted to give them the opportunity to be able to bring that information
Sure.
forward by the
Sure.
time we got to this item, because it is an addendum, so it's not going to be heard till the end of the meeting. I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but, I mean, that is a possible solution that was just brought to us.
Yeah, and I like it.
And if we've had these conversations, on our Board of County Commissioners on numerous occasions. If we have people that are on a committee or a board who are not showing up, it's time to make a change. And we say that because, this isn't it's supposed to be a resume builder by any means to be on any type of committees or boards. They're supposed to be active and supposed to be engaged in the process. And we've had, on occasions, pulled people off for those very reasons and following the rules or again, ordinance, so we can pull them off if need be. Nothing against those people, but if they don't show up, time to go.
Right. And I certainly think with two people willing and wanting to serve on the advisory committee, maybe we do need to take a hard look at that. Anything else? Oh, okay. Anyone else that wants to address? And I don't know, do we have people online as well, or no?
We do not.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Okay, very good. Then I will move on to the approval of the minutes, prior minutes.
Move for approval?
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Minutes.
And now we're at the point where the MPO Advisory Committee reports. Who we got?
So we have with us Dr. Stovall with if you would like to come up and give us a report, please.
So, good morning, everybody. Our last meeting was in this room in August, and we were happy to hear that the federal folks, when they reviewed MPO for the last period of time, had praised us on some of the things we've been doing, particularly our active transportation plan, so that's exciting to us in the BPAC world. We did select a new vice chairman, because somehow we forgot to do that at our last meeting, so Mr. Morgan Gaynor has agreed to serve in that role. And something exciting for those of us who don't necessarily live on the west side, COVID has forced changes, right? And so we had no meetings on anywhere but here since 2019, I think. But we're going to start rotating again, and that'll be a really good thing, and thank goodness we're getting past the COVID. One of the things I thought was very interesting and kind of uplifting was all the work that our staff, Tina and others, the sheriff's office and the school board had done to help find safe ways for children to get to the new Starkey Ranch School, because it's very different than other schools. It has a big roundabout right in front, and roundabouts create special kind of risk when you talk about crossing the road and cars coming around curves and not seeing children. So they spent a lot of effort that first week of school, so very good for them. We got an update on traffic counter studies, and I know some people think that's kind of boring, but it's very exciting to get data and know where people are on some of our trails and what times they're there, what days. And of course, we all are looking for the time we may have traffic counters on all of our trails. It'd be a great thing. One of the things I wanted you to know, there's just this feeling, and hopefully you're feeling it as well when you get the reports. When we got the update on projects, you know, there's really a lot going on, good things going on, and so I know things move slowly in this transportation world, but I think in the trail world, things are moving, and we're going to make things better for people, make them safer for people. One of the things that was reported is really quite amazing is the work to bring in to one GIS database all the different trails, sidewalks, roads into one place, so planners can now very much quicker find the data, and so it's easier to do planning and to address issues when you have a great database. And then our staff person, Tina, is exemplary. We've really never had a person like Tina here, at least in my time. So, and you need to know that she not only does stuff that is on her basic job description, but she does other things. She's partnered with Julie Bond from USF to do bicycle safety training, and several of those workshops are going around. And so now you see that people around Tampa Bay are going to come to Pasco County to get some training, and they'll come away with a good feeling about, boy, those Pasco people are doing good things. So thank you, Tina. Then we had our Tri-County BPAC in September. It was hosted by Hillsborough County, and this is one of the cases where I think Zoom made it better, because if you think about driving to downtown Tampa from up here somewhere or somewhere on the far side of Pinellas, Zoom is a way to do that. So I thought we had a really good meeting, and one of the things that they presented to us is a project that's been in the works for some time in each county, and this project is an online trail map that's interactive with places, connections, et cetera, where you can stop and get food. And what's really exciting now is the 3 county staffs have joined together, and so when they get this ready, and it's very close, somebody who is riding, wants to keep track of where to go on their smartphone, won't have any issues when they move from Pinellas to Pasco or Pasco to Hillsborough. That'll all be seamless on this really neat GIS map that they're creating. So that's very exciting. If you like to take quizzes, we have a quiz for you. The Florida Bicycle Association has rolled out a safe biking quiz. So it's on their webpage, and you get a certificate if you pass it. And by the way, I think you can take it a bunch of times, so you can pass it if you want to show off a new certificate. And the last thing I would tell you from the Tri-County, which is an opportunity for others outside of the area to see us, is there's a group called the Adventure Bicycle Association, which is a national membership group. And what they do is advocate for fun bicycle rides across the country. And they have created something called the U.S. Bike Route Program. And so they're planning to extend Bike Route 15 north and south through the state, right through essentially, if you think about the 301 corridor, so coming down from the north part of 50 down through Dade City, and then on down to Zephyr Hills, out 39, and then on into Hillsborough County. So this is an opportunity for us, particularly on the east side, to be able to serve more people, and more importantly, I think, for more people to know what we have. And so I know county staff at all 3 counties, well, our 2 counties, Hillsborough and Pasco, are going to work with that group. And so I think it's very exciting that we're going to see some national database that's going to say ride to Dade City and Zephyr Hills. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy? None? Thanks again for the good report. All right, do we have any other reports? No CACs?
So I can report out, both the CAC and the TAC met on Tuesday of this week. As you heard earlier, the CAC did not achieve a quorum. There were 2 attendees. Both committees saw the exact same items you are seeing today so that they could then vet those items for you. All items were either passed by the TAC or in the case of the CAC, there were no objections. There is some input on the project prioritization methodology, item number 15. When we get to that item, I'd like to share the TAC input. CAC did not have input on that item.
Okay, thank you.
A question? Did I hear correctly? I'm trying to get my book here. It's kind of a mess here, but did I hear that there were only 2 members at the CAC? So if you had so that's not a quorum, so how did you take any action?
So the CAC, I only asked if there were any objections from the sitting members, recognizing we did not have a quorum. The TAC did have a quorum.
Okay.
And they did make formal votes. So that is the distinguishing factor between the two, please.
Okay. And I know I saw something from my appointee, James Mallow, that he was not going to be able to attend. And when that happens, does something go out to my alternate, who is, can't remember her name right now. Who's the president of the West Pasco? Ann Corona? So do we reach out? Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Okay. That's all in the committee reports. So we'll move to the action items. Item number 2.
So this is called the roll forward amendment. What happens is we approve a TIP or 5-year plan of projects that starts July 1. The federal fiscal year begins October 1, and so the federal government does not recognize our TIP until October 1. Any projects that were in the prior year's TIP that are not yet completed then roll forward as this amendment into our new TIP that the federal government recognizes as of October 1. This is so we can finish those projects, and that is for any funding that is still remaining available to be spent. The federal government requires that any project that is being built or underway has to be in a current adopted TIP. The purpose of this is to align ourselves with the federal requirements while maintaining continuity of our projects. Your approval is desired.
Okay. Any questions on this item? I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this item. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, item 3.
This is the Wire Road Multi-Use Trail. We are doing an analysis study of this project. If you'll recall at our last meeting, you approved the moving forward with 4 different studies that were spread across the county. This one is located in the city of Zephyr Hills. It is to get a baseline understanding of any issues that may be what we would consider fatal flaws for this project and what issues may be out there regarding right-of-way, et cetera. Having this baseline of knowledge will help us to better understand the full cost of this project and give us a decision point as to whether or not we would want to go forward. Think of it as a small investment to have better data, better information, so we can then make a permanent decision as to whether or not we want to invest in this project.
I'm sorry. Where is the trail? Do we have a map or anything?
It's on Wire Road in Zephyr Hills.
It is in,
I don't know
so
where
it
that
is west of 301. It is in the very urbanized area. It goes roughly from the high school north, and it goes up to a road called Piedmont that is somewhat near Pretty Pond Road, which is a significant road there in Zephyr Hills.
Okay, but why don't we have a map to look at?
I apologize, and you've said this
I have
before.
no idea where that is.
I should be learning.
Yeah, I'm a visual person, and I don't know that, it just helps me to understand how it fits into the
So on Wire Road,
larger network.
it goes from 301 all the way to the south till it hits
And can we, okay.
54. Is that the route?
So we're asking for money to do a study? Is that what we're doing?
We have money available to do an analysis of the corridor, and this will allow us to know what is out there and what may be issues that would impact the cost of this project if we would choose to move forward.
Okay.
It'll give us an analysis of right-of-way boundaries, potential environmental concerns, things of that nature. Because with a project of this nature where we don't have a base knowledge of it, it is very difficult to have an accurate estimation of what the project would cost to ultimately construct. This will help us pin down those numbers and allow us to make an educated decision as to whether or not to go forward.
Okay, and I'd love to see how, how this trail, when you pull up the map, fits into the master plan that I think we have for the county and what it connects to and all that happy stuff. So,
And just to give you a little more info, there's a large residential project to the north of Zephyr Hills High School. This would actually link up a trail from that project to the high
Nice.
school. And as the properties as they've developed along there in the city, we've required them to put a 10-foot multi-use trail in as part of their development.
So there's a
Right.
trail on 54 East by the high school. There's gonna be a trail there.
Right.
okay.
And it'll,
And Wire Road comes from 301 where there is a trail there.
Is Wire Road on this map somewhere? That's Wire Road there?
Right.
Okay. There's Wire Road. And so we're looking to put it up alongside of that road?
So we will be looking at that road and then also nearby roads that could tie in if there are right-of-way concerns.
And where are the trails around there? What's it connecting to?
So north is existing multi-use path from a development, and then south is where there's no connection currently to 54, and then there's a school on that south side of 54. So we're just going to analyze the bigger picture and see what opportunities and constraints
Excellent.
may exist for that connection.
Okay,
But actually, that will connect with, right at the school, there's a path gonna be made there. Some of that construction we're just now getting into. And it'll go all the way to 301 where it connects with that trail that's on the side of, west side of 301
Right.
going toward Dade City.
that's
so
exactly
I
right.
certainly support the ask, but I would ask whenever we have a trail project coming in front of us, that it be shown on how it fits in the master trail plan,
Yes.
on a map, with a map. Yeah,
Yeah, and it is a lot easier on a map, obviously, so. Any other questions?
Move approval.
second.
Have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, item 4.
Item 4 is a request to amend our Unified Planning Work Program document, our 2-year strategic plan of activities that your staff of the MPO will undertake. We annually receive a series of grant funds from the federal government through Florida DOT. This is to add the funding for our planning into our UPWP so we can then access that money. Currently, the funding is available to us, but pending this motion, we are unable to then spend it. So your approval is required for us to then utilize the funds.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion for approval on this item? And a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Carl. All right.
Is that?
So that was those were the action items, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So our next is the Florida Turnpike's going to have a presentation. Is that right, or did I miss? Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may, I'd like to...
ECPT. Sorry about that.
No
I'm sorry.
problem. Believe me, if I had forgotten my glasses, I would not be able to even read what's
That's
going
why
on
I'm
down there,
squinting.
so I'm with you, sir. Good morning, Kurt Scheibel, Director of Go Pasco County Transportation. I know I've been talking for a while about an application to tell you where your paratransit bus is. It is live and online right now. If you were to search for Go Pasco Para app, I just searched Go Pasco, comes right up in Play Store. I've been told it's been done the same on, in the Apple Store. We are right now in the process of putting out videos on how to search for it. And they're short, maybe 2, 3 3-minute videos that someone can just sit there and follow along with it, and it literally takes you step by step through, because as you all know, a lot of my customers are technologically challenged in some respects. So it will do there. They can call in, and then once they get everything set up, because we'll let them know how to do certain things, and we'll go out and train them also. They will be able to actually book trips online. They'll be able to see, like if you get Grubhub, you will see the bus go, it'll say, Kurt's on the way in bus 174 to pick you up. And it'll say they're 15 minutes away, and then you can click a thing and it'll see the bus driving down the road. So as you will know, when you're done with your appointments or done with shopping or so forth, knowing where the bus is, you know it's on the way, and you know it's going to be there at this time, it's good. The other things is you can make changes online, and you can work out some things. And the day before, you'll actually be able to see when the bus is coming to pick you up and who's actually going to be on that bus. So there's a lot of good customer service aspects to it that we're really excited. We're still working on getting it so that they can pay online. The county has to come up with a pay online program, because I guess they don't have one. So I started that process. We're still working with procurement on how exactly we want to do that, whether we're going to do a countywide contract or just one for PCPT. I'm pushing for a countywide one because I can think there are other agencies out there that may want to do something like that, where you can pay for something online and be able to use it. So we're moving forward, getting better, moving into the current time. So just a second. Oh, no, I'm fine. The other part to that, though, is now we have the paratransit basically getting online. Now we're doing it for the other side, for the fixed route. It's called the Intelligent Transportation System. The CAO office, before Jane left, I know she had worked on it because she sent me some questions back and forth. We're getting that all together, and we should be going out for bid on that one relatively soon. I am hoping, though, that Florida Department of Transportation actually did a statewide bid on something like that. I have not seen the results. I did see the bid documents. We're hoping that's going to be coming out really, really soon. The guy I talked to wanted it out by October 1st, but that did not happen. So we'll see what happens. And if that's the case and it can meet our needs, I'll be able to action that even sooner, as opposed to doing our own process, which sometimes can take some time. We're still having trouble getting drivers. We're low, but we're having a steady 4 people about every month starting. The good news is we are now, my team is literally at the class as we speak to become a third-party CDL tester. So I can take anybody, train them, get them their license, test them for the license, and they can become a bus driver for us. So we take them from off the streets to a full-up bus driver. We're working with CareerSource and a few other places to see how we can maybe get more people in and get people a job. And even after working for here, let's say they have to move on to some other place. This is a national job. They'll be able to walk anywhere and be able to get a job. All they have to do is just transfer the license over. So,
Mr. Chairman, how long is that process?
about a month and a half.
Oh, that's it? Wow.
It's, there's usually 2 weeks of training. It all depends on how quickly they can get their permit. We're requiring them to have the permit up front, but we'll help them if they're having trouble with the testing and so forth like that. It's about a month and a half. It depends on, weather and various other things that can go on. But that's what we're looking at, is trying to keep it under a month and a half.
Well, how do they get their permit? If you're doing the CDL training, how would they get their permit prior to having the training?
The permit is just taking the tests.
Oh, that's just a written test. It's
You
not
just have to take written tests. You have to study the DMV manual for CDL training. There's certain sections you have to do, and you just have to study it. And that shows a little bit of dedication on their part that they actually want the job to go out and get their permitting. We'll help them if they're having trouble, because usually the pre-trip portion of the test is the toughest one on the test, and so we can help them with that.
Very good.
And what do we pay, and what are the benefits? Just so we get that out there in the public.
So it depends on experience. Right now, it's I don't know the new numbers because it just changed. I'm sorry, the old numbers was 1386.
Okay.
So I know it did bump up.
Or
on us.
it's more than 1386.
It's now more than 1386. And if you have experience, so let's say someone comes in as a CDL driver already and has like 5-year experience, we bump it up depending on the experience, and they have a formula that worked out with HR and Barbara Hitzman, and it works out great. So usually it comes in more than that if you have a CDL. I think the max right now is 1490, but again, that is a educated guess.
And then they're on our
Standard,
full
standard benefits for the
health
county.
insurance and
They get
retirement?
4 weeks vacation every year. They can earn up to that. They get all the benefits, and as, if people don't know, we have a very robust benefit program to meet needs from a single person to a full family, and the different pay rates and vision, life insurance. It's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen it at a county level.
Great.
So.
Do they have to stay with us for any length of time?
There is a contract for
Without
1 year.
paying it
They have
back?
to stay for 1 year, and then we'll do it off. Right now, in the commercial world, it's about $2,500 to go from nothing to a full license. And that's what we're basing it off of. We prorate that. So if you work 9 months here, the goal is I don't want to become the trainer for everybody else. So they come here, work, and then go away. I want to actually get some of the benefits out of it. And so far, we've taken we have a couple coming in the next class that starts next week. We have 2 people out of the 5, I believe, that is in there.
Can I ask
moving
one more
forward
question,
on
Mr.
that.
Chairman?
And like I said, we're also going to be working with Career Source, and we're just waiting for the team to get through the class. It's taken us almost, because of COVID, almost a year to get Florida to have a class up. So I think it's Stake, or there's a north of Oneida, I can't think, it's a little college that they're going to up there. And so that's where they're at right now, enjoying the life of Central Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, are they getting paid while they're doing this training?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
straight pay.
That's a good selling point. Yeah.
It is. And then I think it's a good program. I've run one of these programs before. In fact, that's where I started as. I started as a trainer doing exactly this in Texas. And it really opens up opportunities and the job pool out there. And I know there's a lot of people saying, well, there's jobs out there and we're not paying you. No, you come to us, we'll pay you, we'll give you benefits, and we'll put you on there and out there. So we're about to start I guess on the billboards, we're going to get a billboard flash saying, hey, we're hiring with the Go Pasco.
It's already out there.
It's already out there?
There's already a billboard out there that it's promoting, I think, all the county jobs, if I'm not
Yes.
correct.
So we're
Surely
doing
you
that.
can put it on your bus, on the outside of your bus.
I don't know if you've seen the sign. I'm sorry, I'm over there by the Little and Ridge. There's a sign over there. We do put them on our buses, and we take them to various locations. Yes, we do.
There is a sign on Galen Wilson, isn't there, as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's one right outside when you pull into there. We move it around every so often, and my TSSs, my supervisors go out. They take them to the mall every so often, and take them to various places.
I had a question on a separate topic.
Yeah.
And I think it was called the Microtransit or Microbus program.
Correct.
Is there any updates on that?
Right now, with the study that we're going to do, it closes next week. It's part of that study. We have looked at the place where we're really looking at, and I think it'd be a great place to go, is in Dade City. And I've talked to Commissioner Oakley about this before. What flavor of microtransit, the phrase I like to use is there's many ways to skin a cat. Which one works best for us is what we're looking at. Right now, we have some very specific points when we did some of the research on it, where we pick up people and where we're taking them to. So we have both the ons and off for about 6 months. But that was during the the winter time. We're trying to do we're getting the data right now for the summertime and see what it's looking at, because we have different riding patterns depending on the time of the year. And it's actually 30. We probably need to either move 30 or just put in a microtransit system. So we are looking at that heavily.
Is that set in stone? Because I'd love to steal it from them.
Well, it was originally over here, and then it went over there. May I follow up on his question? You said it ends in a week. Or closes in a week? What closes in a week?
The RFP, ma'am, for the
So we
study.
haven't started the study
We haven't
yet?
started the study yet. So the RFP closes in a week. It'll take about a month to get it to the board with the contracts and everything else. So I'm hoping we get it all with the notice to proceed, hopefully by January. Because my goal with this one is to be able to present to both you all, and they'll have to present where we think our buses need to go, because they haven't changed in a long, long time. We really need to start growing with the county, and we need to look at where we're going to be 5 years from now. Because in order to make things happen like that, I mean, I just can't go to the bus, the local bus dealer and pick up a bus. It takes a year. So that's, we're going to start planning now for the next 5 years with the growth, the Moffitt Center, there's even, Moffitt Center is one of the big ones, but there's still other companies out there that have, I think we can service and help them get their employees to where they need to go. So those are things that need to be looked at, and that's key in that study, is that type of planning out there. And should we be doing a microtransit or not? And if so, what type of microtransit? How do we implement it? How do we get from point A to wheels on the road? That's what I'm looking for.
I want to stay on the subject for a second, because I agree with my fellow council person over there that I think microtransit is going to be our future. And so are we funding this with a federal grant?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you receive COVID money in transit in your, so do you have new monies to maybe let us entertain doing a study on the other side as well? Because the makeup and flavor of the west side is very different than the rural nature of Dade City, and I just wonder if something like that couldn't benefit both types of environments.
The study's for all of Pasco County.
Oh, I thought it was just for Dade City.
No. We focused in on Dade City to see what we can do because I don't have a lot of back office staff folks. We looked at that to see what we can do on that, and then with the study, depending on how long it took to get the study, the RFP out. Well, we got the RFP out. We're finishing off the the standard 45 days to advertise it, and then we should like I said, the RFP will close, but it's for the whole county, not just for Dade City. Newport Richey, Trinity area, Holiday area, it's for everybody. Okay. And part of the study also, and why it's I'm putting a lot of money into it, because I want to be able to they're going to have to come and talk to all you all and get your inputs on it too.
And so how are we spending the money that we're getting from the feds in your budget?
Mostly on
and how much was it?
So the initial one we got with the CARES Act was $12.8 million. That went to fund operations and salaries at the very beginning. We're almost, and it's a big part of this budget this year because we are funding all our salaries with it this year. The other one, we did not get any.
So then what happened then what are you doing with the money that you were funding your salaries with?
That was part of the budget. They moved some things around to cover other things. I'm not sure exactly where that money actually went to.
Oh, okay, so that went into something that our administrator.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be interesting to know where that went.
Well, also regarding that question, a lot of the paratransits and the public transportations have decreased about 85%.
Yes, and ours was not as severe.
Okay.
Paratransit did decrease a lot, but it's already starting to recover. I have not got the last numbers because of just various other things. We've had some staff changeover, which is my last topic. Okay. But there is, we are actually starting to grow a lot. Our fixed route is coming along very, very nicely. The last number I looked were only about 20 to 30%. That was a while ago, and I do know the drivers have been saying there's a lot more people on the buses because we're running out of masks more because we hand out masks to people to get on the bus. We're running out of masks more. So they are handing out more masks, which to me is more people are riding.
So you're utilizing a lot of the funds to supplement, the CARES funds to supplement the salaries for the lost income that you did not get from the paratransit.
Correct.
And then my other question, and I haven't had time to sit and meet with you yet, since coming back from the conference. As for the microtransit, what kind of microtransit are you thinking about utilizing? And then are you considering the light rails, the streetcars, autonomous vehicles, or electric vehicles?
So couple of questions there. There is one more. We did get one more funding from the ARP, about $1.2 million, but that was very specific, operations or salaries, and we're using it for that. So there's that. You asked about microtransit, what types we're looking at. I'm looking at basically 3 different ones. I'm looking at, for the Dade City one, what is called there's not really standardized terms yet because it's still growing, but it's more of a specific stop to specific stop type of thing. It's not door to door, it's stop to stop. So it's a modified paratransit type of thing where a customer will be able to go on to Ecolane and say, I'd like to be picked up at one of your times, and then a bus will go and pick them up at that time. So it's at only very specific stops. For the Trinity area, we're looking at more of an on-demand for a time period. It's not door-to-door, again, it'll be from stop to stop. So they'll request it for the day before, for tomorrow at the corner of, First and Main, just making things up. At 10 o'clock, we'll have a bus to be able to pick them up at that time.
A bus or a
Paratransit.
vehicle?
It's going to be a paratransit vehicle.
This downsize buses that pick
Yeah.
up the handicapped or disabled and pick them up from their homes to their,
Well, no, the paratransit is door-to-door for disabled people. I'm talking, no, instead of having a bus roll around every hour and not picking up 3 people, we will specifically go and pick them up, and they'll say, we want to be picked up on bus stop 1 and dropped off at bus stop 2 from 10 o'clock, and then meet at that time, and we'll have very specific times on there, and we'll only go to those specific spots.
And if you don't mind me asking further into that, are you talking, is this your vision of microtransit? Is that the microtransit?
Yes.
Or is that?
That is part of the
So I thought that would be a much smaller vehicle, like an electric van or something.
We still have to provide the ability to ADA.
Yeah?
So we can get the vans. Right now, though, like I said, we're still in this is what we think we want to do stage. We may transfer it to what's called a M1 van, MV1 van, which you can roll into the back. The problem with those, you can only seat 2 plus the wheelchair. Whereas if we have more people on there, we may not be able to do that. That's why we're looking at a smaller van, a bigger van for for those things.
I'm going to ask,
I'll
I'm
just-
sorry Jack isn't here. Did you see any types of microtransit vehicles when you were out at the MPO meeting?
so what they had in Tempe is they actually had the autonomous vehicles, and that they've had those running for the past 3 years. And then they also, which they did have cars, and they had vans and SUVs. And then as for the other transits, they have their light rail system right now, and then they've been working on implementing their streetcar for street vehicle. Yeah, it's just called a streetcar, but it's not a car. For the past 8 years, they've been working on it. They are in their testing phase this current year, and next year they will be implementing and finalizing. And
But
they'll
do they have microtransit set up out there yet? And what I understand is microtransit is a person, so you have the bus routes, and maybe I misunderstand this, that you have your fixed bus routes, and a microtransit allows someone who needs to get access to the bus stop, it gets them picked, it's like a last mile kind of
First
thing.
mile, last mile type of
And
system.
it gets them
yes,
to the
ma'am.
bus stop.
Yes, they have started implementing.
But but it's not, I can't imagine that would be a full bus. So that's what I'm asking. What kind of
That would be
vehicle
a-
is that
that would-
last mile
That
vehicle?
first mile, last mile usually is
First-
a
yeah.
car. Some people go with Uber, some people go with Lyft,
Yeah.
those type of things. It's usually a contracted out.
And they are starting with the autonomous vehicles, and so there is a driver in the vehicle at this time while they're
To
doing
do
their
the
testing.
first mile, last mile?
Yes, it can help them get to the
Okay.
area, and there's also a transit program that was
I'm not
available
sure
to
if
look
I'm not
further
sure if the
into.
autonomous vehicles go first mile, last mile yet, because most of the autonomous vehicles, they're still in the infancy.
So they
So
have a
there's a
fixed
lot
route.
there's a lot of issues with that. They're doing a fixed route I don't know if you heard about PSTA. There was actually, the safety observer actually overrode the vehicle, and actually, unfortunately, someone was hurt.
Killed 3
Not
years ago.
to hit somebody, but it did not
Talking
cause
about the
any
beep?
Yeah, beep. And so, but it was the system actually itself, if they'd done it full autonomous, they would have been just fine, because the vehicle recognized the person and would have
Oh,
stopped in
interesting.
time.
So the person in the beep overrode
Overrode
the
it.
safety?
Correct. Overrode it, which I was like, well, why would they not be using an autonomous vehicle all the time? So that's there.
And they did take into consideration, even if we have 40,000 auto accidents a year,
This is-
and
We gotta be on it if you want to be.
I think you may want to hear it. So even if we had 40,000 auto accidents a year, and say, with the autonomous vehicles, there's only one, they were stating how we're more susceptible to accept human error compared to
Right,
or
right.
with technology.
Just makes the news. you
It
know?
would still reduce. And then also what they were stating, that if someone's in front of the vehicle, they can't tell if it's a kid running into the middle of the road. They can't tell if it's a guy standing someone up at gunpoint. They can't tell if
It's a bag.
someone trying to get.
A bag
So-
rolling across the road or a ball. There's a lot of still growth in this technology, I agree. I think it's something though, like you said, Commissioner Snarky, it is the future. Autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles is the future.
Are
Well,
we,
you-
and are we preparing to, I think I've asked you this question before, but I think it's important, we plan to move to electric buses. Do we have any?
No, we do not have any at this time. You're
Yeah.
talking, that is something that is literally on my to-do list. I know Grace has been calling your assistants to set up meetings. That is going to be one of the topics, is the no-low grant. The
Right.
current administration is pushing out the infrastructure bill. Part of the infrastructure bill is significant increases in both buildings
Right.
and the low-no grant. I mean, on a no-low grant, I think they added a zero to it. They went like from 34 million to 340 million. It was a huge increase. I think they briefed at the last Tabarda meeting too. The numbers are unheard of.
And I listened to FAC, or NACO brief on that yesterday of the transportation bill and how much they are pushing for that and how the grants are coming out. And I want to just be sure that we're paying attention.
My goal is we're getting a new parking lot. Let's put a solar panel array over the top of it that charges batteries, that when I come in at night, I plug in my batteries and there we go.
And that's a perfect example out in Arizona and Tempe and
Exactly
all
what
over.
I'd love to do.
And I have photos. I don't have them prepared because I have hundreds of photos from the conference. But especially in downtown where the college and the universities are, above every parking lot, every parking garage, you have solar panels bringing the power in. So I think it's really important.
I think,
And we should be doing that, I feel, on top of buildings and everywhere that we have extra space.
Sunshine.
and one of the things is that I'm outgrowing our little building that we've got. And I don't know if you've been over there lately. We've actually added more staff just because we are growing so much to get prepared for I believe that the study we're doing is going to recommend a lot more growth. And there will be both, this is what we could afford, and then if you want to pay for it, these are what you can get. You mentioned light rail. My dream is to put light rail around, circle around the county, 52, 301, 54, 19, and then connect that down south.
Circling back to the type of vehicle, in Newport Richey,
Yeah.
we had to implement like a shuttle service from our new parking garage down to downtown, and we're going to set up stops. And we just purchased a 12-person electric vehicle, and it's ADA compliant, that we're going to use, and it's all electric. So I don't know if
What
that's
vehicle
something-
did you get, sir?
I
What brand
have
name,
to-
do you mean?
I can get you the information.
Please,
But,
because I would love to have electric
It's about
vehicles.
$40,000, but it was something we had to get rolling just for maneuvering around town and getting people back and forth. But we will have stops set up and that kind of thing. So maybe it's something to look at.
Well, I'm a big proponent for electric vehicles. If nothing else, that the
We gotta
cost of
put
fuel
it
is
over
not going to
again.
get less.
Because this
Yeah.
RFP closes the 19th.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, great conversation. I just think we need to, if we want to have a deeper conversation on these items, let's bring it back for a discussion on the agenda, because we're talking about the RFP, what closes the 19th?
Yes, sir.
All right, so.
And the next time too,
this
I'll
is-
ask
we're
for
getting
the
in the weeds
next
on something,
meeting.
yeah.
If you could give us an update on the fare box? Did we? Yeah.
And also with the light rails and the streetcars, you can utilize the one, now, Carl, I don't know if you remember, you can utilize the light rail on the light rail areas, but you cannot utilize it in the streetcar or vice versa on the different transportation paths.
And when you say fare box, ma'am, are you talking about the Flamingo Fare?
The one that we were going to go in, and then I think we decided
I'm
not
a-
to, and, yeah.
Yes.
But you can do that at the next meeting.
Yeah,
If you
and
don't
if
I'm actually
we,
going to try and set up a meeting so I can talk to all of you about it,
Okay.
make sure that
Yeah.
we're
Make
we're
sure
on
we're
the
doing,
same
yeah.
piece of paper.
Carl, I appreciate the info, and I think that Commissioner Moore is right. We probably need to move on, and I think that we need to have you and this discussion as an item on our agenda in the near future. So thank you again. Thank you. All right, now we're at the presentation for the Turnpike. Who's going to do that, Carl? Okay, very good.
but it's not in a binder.
Will we be
so-
having this discussion at the next meeting?
I'm assuming so, so we'll put it as an item, maybe a presentation item.
I'll put it as a separate item on the agenda, just under the Go Pasco
Right.
general presentation.
Just because
Yes.
we have so much information from that conference, and I want to be able to speak about it and discuss it, but we can't do that due to sunshine. So I would definitely like to sit with you and help with the presentation, if I may.
Be happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, board members. My name is Siausi Fine, and I am the MPO Liaison for the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Turnpike's tentative work program for fiscal years 2023 through 2027. In Pasco County, the Turnpike is proposing to fund $23.1 million in major projects. Included in your agendas is the work program summary, which is a green document that highlights the Turnpike's major projects, minor projects, current construction projects, and upcoming PD&E and design efforts for all of FDOT District 7. So the construction projects will be on page 1 of the green document. And on the last page, you will see the PD&E and design projects. These projects actually have no construction funding associated with them.
What does that mean?
Within the 5-year work program, there is no construction funds. Like, it's not funded within the 5 years that are encompassed in the work program from fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 27.
Okay, so you're not doing any work in those 5 years?
We are.
Okay.
No,
I-
we
Wait, I'm
are.
confused.
Well, so the last page, it has a project for PD&E and a project for design.
You say the last page,
Yeah, the widening, it would be 2 widening projects on the last page.
it's hard for me to tell, is this the last page?
Hillsborough,
Page
Pasco.
6.
This is
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so,
3 million to 4.5.
So those phases are funded in the 5-year work program.
but those aren't, they do go to Pasco.
Those 2 projects are funded, but they have no construction funding within the 5-year work program.
But you say they're funded, but then you say they're not funded. So that's-
Construction isn't funded, but the
So the
PD&E.
design, okay, the design,
Mhm.
the engineering is funded, the construction's not funded, okay. And when do we expect to get the funding?
2024 and 2027 respectively. They're in the fiscal year column.
Okay.
And
I think,
May
Mr.
I-
Chairman, I think she was
Let-
talking about the actual funding for the construction,
Yeah,
not the PD&E.
yeah.
So the
What's
construction
what's
funding's
the
not there yet.
anticipated
Yeah.
construction date? We usually get P&E dates, and then we get construction dates. And
So those dates are, they could be outside the 5-year work program, or they might not be programmed at all. But these are the dates and the funding that are in the actual work program at this point. So it's unforeseen at this point.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Carl, I don't know if you were in this seminar. They discussed that we choose the projects, we fund them, and we construct them. They were also talking about constructing them themselves within the region, that we would start be able to construct them. There was a self-construction. I can look more into it.
There was a discussion about looking at projects that were construction-worthy, and that would be regional in nature. And that would be an emphasis area in future funding bill. I think that may be what you're referring to.
I'll do some more research and get back to you, because I know there was a way they had the region come together and self-fund through different grants and program options, so they can get the construction done sooner than later.
Okay. Let's let him go along with the presentation
Yeah.
if we could. Let,
Real quick, I'm Carol Scott, the Turnpike Planning Manager. I just
Okay.
wanted to address the questions about the last
Okay.
page. So this is something that we've added to our work program summaries
Okay.
this year, so maybe that's why there's some confusion, because generally we just share the projects that have construction funding.
Okay,
But We also sometimes, when the tip is developed in the spring, there's questions like, hey, we see you have a design and we didn't hear about it. So, we just wanted to let you know that we're going to be starting a PD&E study, but those studies take, a good 3 years. So we're quite a ways from the funding of those, but we just wanted to let you know that that was coming up.
So you'll be doing to the Turnpike kind of what you did further south, where you take out the middle? Is that how you're widening it?
Yeah.
You're not going outside you're not going to the outside, you're going to the inside?
That will be determined in the PD&E.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're definitely a few years away from that.
Because
but we do have enough right-of-way to widen within our own right-of-way.
The reason I'm asking is we're getting ready to do a bike overpass at 54 and Suncoast, and I wouldn't want you to widen it and take out the new bike overpass that we're,
Right.
are we coordinating all that?
We will,
Okay.
absolutely, we will, in 2024, when we kick off our PD&E. So generally, we only want to widen within our right-of-way, because that's, when our facilities are built, they generally have a large enough right-of-way to widen within that footprint. So, our goal is to not impact right-of-way, but I just wanted to address that.
Okay, and I just wanted you to know there's a typo in here, I think, because up here it says FDOT District 7, and here it says the table below provides a summary of the project in District 2.
Well, yeah, you are absolutely right.
Okay. We were thinking, well, maybe the Turnpike districts
No,
are different.
typo.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let you know,
Sure, sure.
Okay. Florida's Turnpike system consists of limited access facilities and provides Florida's residents and visitors with safe, efficient, and affordable means of travel. Turnpike facilities are located in 6 FDOT districts and 19 counties. In Pasco County, we have the Suncoast Parkway. The Turnpike's mission is to help meet the state's growing transportation needs, ensuring value to customers, protecting investors, and managing the Turnpike system in a business-like manner. With that mission in mind, the project I will discuss today supports the Department of Transportation's vital few core areas, which are improving safety, enhancing mobility, and inspiring innovation. This slide illustrates how the Florida's Turnpike receives revenue and processes expenditures. Revenue is collected through user tolls and concessions at our service plazas. We do not receive any revenues from gas taxes or any other taxes. According to our bond covenants, the Turnpike must first pay for operations and maintenance costs. These include costs to collect and process toll payments. Then we must pay off the debt on the bonds issued to construct major projects. It should be noted that due to our high credit rating, the Turnpike has historically benefited from some of the lowest borrowing costs in the toll industry. After that, we invest revenue into renewal and replacement, such as resurfacing projects or other recurring improvement costs. Finally, the Turnpike uses the remaining funds to pay for capital improvements, such as widenings and interchanges. The Turnpike has various ways of determining how projects get funded, depending on the project type. All our projects must demonstrate a transportation need and are prioritized accordingly. Widening and interchange projects are ranked in priority through an annual effort that looks at observed traffic data and future projections across the entire system. Expansion projects must meet environmental and economic feasibility as a part of the prioritization process. Of course, stakeholder input is very important and is considered throughout the project development process. With that being said, in Pasco County, the Turnpike has one major project programmed in the Tenor of Work program, and it is Project 447702-1-2, which is a resurfacing project of the Suncoast Parkway from milepost 17.5, and that is just south of the Hillsborough County and Pasco County line, to milepost 28.5, which is a little bit north of State Road 52. And this project has design funds in fiscal year 2024 and construction funds in fiscal year 2025, totaling $23.1 million. Work includes milling and resurfacing, guardrail installation, and signing and pavement marking improvements. For more information on all projects in the Turnpike's tentative work program, you can visit the FDOT Work Program Public Hearing website and download the FDOT District 7 Public Hearing Report when available. Turnpike projects in the Pasco County can be found in this document. Thank you, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them now.
Just one question.
Sure.
I know that if we don't ask for it, we don't get it, so just want to make sure we're asking to, for the Ridge Road extension, the new exits off the Turnpike, that we have landscaping. And I know some of our exits, I'm not sure if all of them, I don't know if the lady that was with you, but we had talked about landscaping at 54 and 52, and I don't recall if it was all put in yet, but we certainly want to be sure that we're asking for nice beautification projects on our interchanges. And then my second thing is, we're starting to really elevate the discussion of Tower Road, which I want to quit calling Tower Road and call Rangeland. And it goes over the Sun Coast, and just want to make sure that, I don't know where Carl went, but there he is. No. Yeah. Just want to make sure that we're talking about that when we, because it's in our plans to be moving forward with that. So it's a very important east-west road in the county.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I can communicate to my higher-ups.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else? No?
Well, is someone going to talk about the bike, the flyover at the Sun Coast, the bike overpass?
I think it's going to
Is that
happen.
Turnpike? Is that District?
I believe that's District 7. They'll have that in their presentation, which is a little bit later on in this meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
We should have asked for one more thing. Well, I want to say one more thing as you're teeing up the next thing, just to my board and to the Turnpike folks. So they're extending the Sun Coast to Citrus County, which is wonderful. And they're getting a bike ped overpass over which road? 98. And who's paying for that? Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just laughing. She's coming up.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you for your question.
Yeah.
So the overpass at 98 is part of the Turnpike's construction project.
Okay.
So that overpass was determined during the design phase.
All right. And
So the crossing at 54 was determined in the design phase of the Suncoast Parkway Trail, back in the 90s, right? Because actually, we're just celebrating the 20-year anniversary of the trail.
Oh, nice.
It opened this past August. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's been around for 20 years. Can you believe it? So when that design happened and we coordinated with the counties, it was Hillsborough, Pasco, Hernando. We had the agreements. That was when we set up the maintenance agreements with the counties. And so in the agreement, it stipulates that the counties are responsible for the maintenance and improvements to the trail. Because since we are a user-financed facility,
sure.
we can only reinvest our money on our roadways.
Understand
and
that.
not necessarily the trails.
But who paid for the bike ped overpass in Hernando County over State Road 50?
Right, and that, again, was the Turnpike, because during the design phase,
Yeah,
because
so-
of the traffic conditions, it was determined that across 50, the crossing was required.
So do you feel that you didn't need to put one over State Road 54 that had less traffic than any of those roads?
That was determined during the design phase. I mean,
So-
that was in the 90s, so.
So, board members, the citizens of Pasco County are paying for the bike ped overpasses on 54 and 52. And the Turnpike's paying for the overpasses in Hernando County and in Citrus County, who have a lot less traffic than us, so I don't understand how that happened, but I'd love to talk with you guys about helping share the cost of our overpasses.
Yeah, I'll take that back.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
All right. And,
Not right.
are we at 6? I'm a little lost. Is it item 6, am I right?
Yes, please. And actually, both items 6 and 7 are administrative in nature. We are putting into our TIP items that are federally required. The first one, item 6, is that transit planning grant that you approved under an action item earlier in the meeting. Item 7 is to replace language that has been updated in the codified federal regulations. We are required to put this administrative language at the front of our document. We're just updating it to reflect the CFR. These are modifications and are for notification only. They do not require your action, but we are required to bring a modification before you so that you are aware of it.
Okay. So that was on 6 and 7, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. Any questions for Carl on that? If not, I'm going to move to item 8, which is a DOT presentation.
And this is the work program for Florida DOT. We have a video for you outlining the changes or the proposed work program.
Hi, Pasco MPO. This is Jensen Hackett with the Department of Transportation. I'm excited to be going over the tentative 5-year work program for fiscal years 23 to fiscal years 27 for all of your work program projects that will be within those upcoming 5 years. Excited to bring that to you today. So first, let's talk a little bit about the work program update process. FDOT's work program is a 5-year plan that includes all public transit, seaport, airport, and rail projects, and any transportation planning, intelligent transportation planning, such as ITS and ATMS projects, highway design projects, right-of-way acquisition, and other construction activities. Every year on June 30th, the current year of the work program comes to an end, and on July 1st, year 2 moves up to become the new current year. At this time, a new 5th year is added into the work program, and funding is then allocated to the next phase of projects that are programmed in the prior 4 years. New projects are added into the new 5th year based on Florida Transportation Plan goals, other statewide programs, and any local priorities such as Pasco MPO's priority list. So this is where we currently are in the process at the tentative work program. This presentation will outline changes to the first 5 years of the work program and new projects that have been added into the new 5th year. This work program will be submitted to the Florida legislature later this year for review, and then on to the governor for review and signature. And one note, this year is an accelerated cycle, so the legislature actually meets in January instead of their normal March timeframe. So this is all coming to you a little bit earlier in the fall work program process so that we can get everything up to the Florida legislature. After the governor signs the work program, the first year is included inside the state budget, and the work program is then considered fully adopted. So in the program development process, what exactly do we look at as a department? Well, first, we go to preserve the existing program. So we deliver any unfunded phases to any projects that are already existing inside the work program. Second, we look for any cost estimate updates there may be as part of any projects that are within the work program. And finally, we look to add any new projects as part of updates to any of the work program projects. So what do some of these projects include? Well, they include safety and security enhancements, system preservation projects, other multimodal enhancements, operational improvements, and other capacity improvements. These are all based upon MPO priorities, such as the Pasco MPO priority list, regional priorities, such as the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance lists, and other SIS and FDOT priorities. New projects that are not previously included in the work program are inserted inside the work program. And there are new phases of existing projects that are programmed. So these can be under Project Development and Environment, PD&E, Preliminary Engineering or Design, PE, Right-of-Way, ROW, Construction, CST, Design Build as DSB, and Grants as CAP or other based on which type of grant they are. And you'll see some of these abbreviations in some of the projects that I will show you later on. And of course, we also show select projects of interest that may be of interest to the MPO as well as to board members. So with that, I will make one caveat before I show you the list of projects for the tentative work program for 23 to 27. If you have a project in mind that has been listed inside the work program in any of the presentations I have made or a couple years before that, if I do not mention it in this presentation, that just means that nothing has changed to that project. So if it was slated for construction in fiscal year 25, if I don't mention anything with that project, construction is still funded in fiscal year 25. So do not get concerned if you do not see a specific project. That just means that nothing has changed. So first up for the 23 through 27 projects are some capacity projects. The first one is in Pasco MPO priority project. This is State Road 52 from Aaron Cutoff to Bellamy Brothers Boulevard. This is adding lanes and reconstructing. This is the MPO's #1 priority on their list. Construction has been added to fiscal year 27. This is the final project as part of the 52 widening across the northern part of Pasco County. So this is that last piece there from Aaron Cutoff to Bellamy Brothers, and this has been funded in fiscal year 27. The next is another Pasco MPO priority. This is I-75 and I-275 from County Line Road to State Road 56. This is in between the Lutz, Land O'Lakes, and Wesley Chapel area. This is phase 2 of that interchange improvement project to add lanes and reconstruct. This is going to be a similar collector distributor system as what already exists if you are going northbound I-75 or northbound 275 and getting off on the long exit ramp to go up to State Road 56. This will be almost identical in the southern direction to guide you from State Road 56 to southbound 75 or southbound 275, taking away a lot of those weaving conflicts that occur heading southbound in that area. This is construction being added to fiscal year 27. Next up on the list are two bike and pedestrian trail projects. Both of these are Pasco MPO priority projects. The first is State Road 54 at State Road 589, the Suncoast Parkway. This is for the Suncoast Trail project, which is a pedestrian overpass project. Construction is being added to fiscal year 23, and this is part of a local funds agreement with Pasco County. The next one is also another trail project, State Road 52 at State Road 589. This is also part of the Suncoast Trail, and another pedestrian overpass project with construction being added to fiscal 23 as a local fund with the county. The next are also some bike and ped improvements. These are both safe routes to school projects. The first is Bexley Elementary. This is Ballantrae Boulevard from north of Stratton Place to Tower Road. This is a sidewalk project there near the school. Construction is being added to fiscal year 26. The second is Pasco Elementary. This is over on the east side of the county. This is from Fort King Road from Hester to north of Coleman Avenue. This is another sidewalk improvement there. Construction has been added also into fiscal year 26. Some more bike ped enhancements, both being Pasco MPO priorities. The first here is Leonard Road from US 41 to Henley Road. This is essentially paralleling State Road 54 from the Sun Lake area over to US 41. This is a sidewalk with design being added into fiscal year 25 and construction being added into fiscal year 27.
Excellent.
The next is Ranch Road from west of Martha Avenue to Hanks Lane. This is up in the Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates area. This is another sidewalk on that facility, construction being added into fiscal year 26. These next two are some resurfacing projects. The first is State Road 39 from north of Central Avenue to US 301 Gall Boulevard. This is over in the Zephyr Hills area. Design is being added into fiscal year 23 and construction is being added into fiscal year 25. The next is State Road 54 from just to the west of Ray Drive to US 301 Gall Boulevard. Again, just to the east of the Morris Bridge intersection improvement there as part of the State Road 54 widening over to downtown Zephyr Hills is where these limits are in this project. Design is being added to fiscal year 23 with construction being added into fiscal year 25. The next resurfacing projects are State Road 54. The first is State Road 54 from Gun Highway to east of Crossing Boulevard. This is design being added to fiscal year 23 with construction being added into fiscal year 25. The next is State Road 54 from Marathon Road to Gun Highway. Design is in fiscal year 23 with construction in fiscal year 25. This portion also includes some urban corridor improvements, which could add things such as bicycle enhancements, pedestrian enhancements, updated crosswalks, those types of things to enhance some of these resurfacing projects. So this project also includes some of those. The next resurfacing projects are on State Road 581, Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, from State Road 56 to State Road 54. This is in the Wesley Chapel area. Design is being added to fiscal year 24, with construction being added to fiscal year 26. Then State Road 54 from State Road 581, Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, all the way over to Curly Road. This is another resurfacing project there in the Wesley Chapel area. Design being added to fiscal year 24 and construction being added to fiscal year 26. The next are a couple lighting projects that have actually been dropped out of the work program. The first is State Road 52 from US 19 to Hicks Road. And the second is State Road 54 from US 19 to Little Road. And this is design being dropped from fiscal year 23. The reasoning for this is the department is looking to partner with Duke Energy on these lighting projects. So in order to facilitate that lighting project with Duke Energy, it was come to dropping the design for both of these in fiscal 23 to work out some of those stipulations between the department and Duke Energy. The next are some aviation projects, mostly for the city of Zephyr Hills. The first is the Zephyr Hills Municipal Airport Master Plan Update. This is an aviation capacity and preservation project as it goes along with their master plan update for the airport. These are aviation funds being added to fiscal year 24, and this is partially with some local funds contribution. The next is the Zephyr Hills Airport design and construction of some box hangars. This is an operation improvement as part of the airport. Again, some grant funds being added to fiscal year 24 with some partial local funding contributions. The next is the Municipal Airport 6th Avenue realignment. This is also part of their master plan, but it actually realigns 6th Avenue around some of the airport grounds. This is an aviation preservation project, and these are funds being added to fiscal year 26 with a local funds contribution as well. The next ones are also, surprise, surprise, for Zephyr Hills Municipal Airport. So the first is the Rehab of Runway 119. This is an aviation preservation project. This is design funds being added into fiscal 23 with partial local funds contribution for that. And the second piece is actually adding the construction to fiscal year 24. So that is that second project there for the Runway 119 rehab. The next couple of aviation projects are actually being dropped from the work program. The first is the Municipal Airport Taxiway A, A1, and A2 rehabilitation. This was an aviation capacity and preservation project. Again, this has been dropped from the work program in fiscal 23 due to a local request. This is because the airport has received FAA grant funds to rehab these taxiways. So this is why it is being dropped from the state work program. The next is for the Municipal Airport Aircraft Parking Area. This was an aviation capacity and preservation project. Again, this is also being dropped from the work program in fiscal year 24 at local request, and it is for the same reason. This is because the airport was able to receive grant funding from the Federal Aviation Administration in order to complete this aircraft parking area project. And so what does that mean for Pasco County? Well, over the 5 years, total funding in Pasco County adds up to just over $355 million for all of the projects within the work program. Out of that, the MPO planning gets about $4 million. Traffic operations and safety projects total just under $10 million. They're at $9.39 million. Intelligent transportation, just about $9.5 million of those projects. Capacity is receiving $186 million worth of improvements. Resurfacing is adding up to about $67 million. Complete streets going to about $3 million. Bicycle and pedestrian improvements are about $7 million, with about $3.88 million of Sun Trail funding for that. And one caveat I'd like to point out about the bike and ped improvements is that within a capacity project, we at the department do not have a good way of breaking out bicycle and pedestrian improvement costs that are tallied into a capacity project. So in reality, the bike and ped should be larger, but some of that is captured within the capacity fund. So for example, on State Road 52, that is coming with a sidewalk on the north side and a trail facility on the south side of the roadway, but that would be totaled into capacity instead of broken out into bike ped. The next is transit dollars, so just over $25 million for transit, and this is broken up to just over $14 million in operations and just over $11 million in capital for transit. And aviation is receiving just under $13 million as part of the work program. So some important dates for the tentative work program schedule upcoming. October 25th through the 29th of 2021 is the online public hearing, and you can go to this website here, which is www.fdot.gov/WPPH/District 7. And this will actually give you not only the rundown of projects that I have listed here, but also all of those projects that are part of the work program that I mentioned before that did not change, but are still included inside the work program. It also has GIS mapping, so you can go and look at any of these projects that I have named today or the other ones that are part of the work program and actually see them on a map. So you can kind of locate where they are and see what they are. It also gives you all of the details of how they're funded, when they're funded, and some of the limits information on those projects. On October 28th is the District 7 Work Program Open House. This is our open house at our headquarters down in Tampa from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can come by and look at any of the projects and voice comments as part of the open house. November 12th is when public comments are due for any of the projects that are related to the tentative work program. November 22nd, MPO objections are due, and this will come from objections from your MPO board. In the winter and spring of 2022 is when the work program will be reviewed by the legislature and the Florida Transportation Commission. And on July 1st of 2022, the work program will become adopted at the signing of the governor. And so with that, I thank you for listening to the tentative work program presentation for fiscal year 23 through fiscal year 27. And again, please go to the website. This is in your agenda packets, and it's also right here as part of this presentation. So please go to this website for District 7, where you can see any of the projects that I have had listed today, as well as any of the projects that are included within the 5-year work program. Reminder that public comments are also due November 12th, 2021. And a reminder just to remember to walk wise, bike smart, and drive safely. And at this time, I will turn it back over to MPO staff that are leading the committee meeting. And if you have any questions on any of these projects, I can gladly take those down. And once again, thank you.
So surprise, I'm here.
Good job.
I was actually stuck in Nebraska with that whole Southwest issue this weekend. So
Oh, wow.
I wanted to make a shout out to the MPO. They helped me be able to record this for you on Monday, as I was not able to make the committee meetings on Tuesday. So we decided to run it just because there was a lot of good information that I was repeating as part of that video. So I'm here, so any questions you might have?
And can I say, you sound very professional on that. Like you could have a second business doing that kind of stuff, right?
That's right.
I do have some questions,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, of course. Question on, because you put on there our bike ped overpasses as part of your program. And I'm sorry if I get this all mixed up, but are y'all helping pay for any of that?
So we're not helping pay for that, but they are inserted into the work program just because it is part of the state road overpass there. So that's why they're inside the work program, but those are being funded through the county.
Yeah, so, you know, I guess it's not fair. I don't know how to say that politically. It's not right.
That is the way to say it.
Yeah, it ain't fair. So I don't know how to, you know, I really think we should elevate our voices on that. And and I guess it's not you, it's the Turnpike Authority. But maybe when we go to Tallahassee or whatever, any suggestions from staff about, or the Turnpike folks, maybe they left. But, you know, why are other counties getting it paid for and we have to pay for our own? So that's, I know you can't answer that.
Yeah, well, I'll take that note down, though.
Yeah, it bothers me. So I was looking at your road sections, and you were talking about the trails that you're putting on roads. And I just sent something over to Tania to put up on the screen.
Okay.
And you mentioned to me that you just rode on the Capitol Circle Trail in Tallahassee. And I'm not 100% sure, but I went to the map, and it looks to me like it's a state road, Capitol Circle in Leon County.
Certain portions of it are.
Yeah, so when they get there, when they put in their trails, they look like this.
Mhm.
When we put in ours, they're smushed up to the sidewalk, and it's a straight line, like an engineer can't use the little curved line, and they have to use the straight ruler to design it. So how do we get, that is a much better experience than,
Meandering.
I mean, I showed you the video before.
Meandering,
This is a state road. This is how they're building their trails. We're getting something vastly different, and I just wondered how we could improve our process of getting a better experience.
That's actually something that we've taken a look at as a department as a whole, but also as District 7, because we do have a lot of trail facilities, and we are starting to implement more landscaping as part of these. We have a kind of a new initiative of improving landscaping, so there's been a lot of landscaping projects in not only Pasco County, but also in District 7 as a whole at certain intersections. I know you were talking about that before, Commissioner Starkey. But we are looking into this in order to improve these, so we may see some landscaping on existing trails, as well as incorporating some of that landscaping on future trails that are
Okay,
planned.
but it's not just landscaping, because, well, it depends on how you look at that, because if you have more width, then you can put some landscaping in. And I understand it may increase costs, but sometimes it doesn't, because when you put ponds along the side of a road, and, you know, we do that all along 54, whatever,
Correct,
the trail can be on the other side of the pond. Doesn't have to be on the traffic side of the pond. And so there's ways to make the user experience much better that doesn't really even have to increase costs. You don't have to buy more right-of-way, you just have to plan it as, you know, a user would like to use it. And I don't know if Tina wants to speak up here as my trail expert. No?
So I know with future Orange Belt, Tina Russo, active transportation planner. I know with the future preliminary alignment that we're looking for Orange Belt, that we actually will have to go along 54 just east of Community Drive. We're taking advantage of the ponds that DOT owns and put the trail on the south side of those ponds, so we're not going up to 54. And we'll start, especially after what happened in Keystone along the Pinellas Trail, we will look at safety as part of getting them away from the road as much as possible.
Yeah.
And some of that landscaping be a safety buffer.
Exactly.
As much as anything else.
Yeah.
So we will look at those as we move forward, and when those opportunities allow, we'll take advantage of them.
Okay, wonderful. And lastly, thank you. I'm so happy to see the rest of 52 in the work plan.
Yep. And I did want to point something out that I didn't point in the video. The improvements, the resurfacing project on 54 from Marathon to Gun Highway, that's also including a mid-block crossing just to the east of Starkey Boulevard to get
great.
the trail across from the south side of the road to the north
Yeah,
side.
I get contacted all the time. People are actually doing that mid-block crossing on their own without anything there because they've realized that's the safer place to cross. Dewey Mitchell crosses there, yeah, so. Thank you.
And again, just touching on the paths, I do feel it is a safety concern to have them butted up right against the road, so I would like to see them pushed back further along the side. And because I've seen people walking in the bike pathways in the middle of 54 when there's traffic on each side of them, so I feel that is a big concern. Also, back to when in Phoenix, they do have, when they're separating the light rails and walkways, even in bike paths, on the side of the road, it's a different color, or they have a big rectangular stump that goes in between, so the bike riders and the cars are kind of separated as well, if they're going to stay along the roads.
Nice. And I love the way they decorate the sides of their highways.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I would like to
Very nice.
incorporate that in, and I don't know
Yeah.
if you have anything to do with that, but as we're building the overpasses, I would like to see a palm tree or something catered to our county. Thank
So
you.
we actually have a landscape architect as part of our District 7 crew. So he's actually seen an increase in the budget statewide as part of our DOT landscaping program, which I was touching on before. So a lot of those things are being incorporated. And I know he obviously does everything as part of the 5-year too, because his budget comes in the same way that it does for our work program. So there are a lot of landscaping projects upcoming. So you'll start to see those sprinkled in throughout, so.
I did mention palm trees, but I meant across the bridge, whether it's palm trees all the way across the bridge. And no, in Tempe and Phoenix, they had tribal
I think she
symbols.
means designs in the concrete
Yes.
structure.
Yeah, so in
Imprinted
like the
into the-
MSC walls as part of the overpass, yep, so that we actually do as well, and we're starting to do a lot more of. There's one that I was just working on yesterday when I was at the Pinellas Board meeting, was US 19 is being improved northward toward Pasco County in terms of overpasses, and they actually wanted to incorporate those in, so we're putting design elements like beach things, so there's like seashells, seahorses, those type of things going in as part of the MSC wall. So
Nice.
we're working on all of that for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Will we see it at the overpass at Ridge Road and Suncoast Parkway?
That would be a Turnpike question or a county question, so
Okay.
I'm not sure on that.
Thank you.
But good idea.
Here, Tim.
Well, it's already built. That's already built. Yeah.
Well, we can etch it out.
There were 2 lighting projects that were taken off, and I know that there's some work with Duke Energy. Are those, is the plan to put those back on just at a later date?
So I didn't mention, there was a couple projects that actually came out of the work program that was presented last year. These were actually over in Wesley Chapel. So from the eastern extent of the new diverging diamond interchange at State Road 56 and 75, all the way out to Meadow Point Boulevard through the Wesley Chapel area. Those were lighting projects. They were supposed to happen in fiscal year '23, and those actually have been advanced into current year. And just because this is the '23 through '27 work program, I didn't want to put those in as part of that since they've been advanced. But that also was a partnership with Duke Energy. They were just able to come in and put those in current year. So you should start to see the construction here in the next probably 6 months with those projects. This is exactly what is going on with those 2 projects up in the northwestern part of the county. So we're
119 area.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're working with Duke to get those programmed. We didn't have construction funds on it as part of the work program. It was just design work, so there wasn't actually construction funded. But we're hoping with that partnership with Duke Energy that they will pick this up just like they did those projects out on the east side of the county and pull that in earlier than what we have as part of our work program.
But if they're not, then they'll be pushed
Yeah,
back.
yeah, we would look to then reinsert those back in the work program.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Anything else for Jensen? And I do want to say, I appreciate the commissioner's input on the trails, because I think that this trail idea has evolved over the years, and it used to be, well, no trails, then, well, it's an afterthought, let's put in a trail. Now we're thinking more on integrating it as part of the actual construction. I think it's great to have a landscape architect get in there and fight as hard as they can to create these nice spaces on the trails. I mean, it's great to have a trail, but if there's not a piece of shade on it in August, I don't know how many people are going to use it, but thanks for, and please work hard for us. I know you will, Jensen, on these, on all of these items.
Yeah, and that's correct too, because I live on the east side of the county, so I see all of this as well as part of kind of the trails that are on 56 that go out all the way through 01. So like, I'm out there seeing these things, so these are things that I bring back as well, not after board meetings, but after just general working, so.
Right.
And an occasional bench, you know, something.
And I did notice 3% of the funds go to landscaping, and I was wondering, I don't know if I already received this or not, but I was wondering,
We're not doing.
where, can I get a breakdown of where is that 3% being spent in relation to how much is being distributed, some ratios?
So it's actually 1.5%, but it's 1.5% of the entire DOT work program budget. So you're talking statewide, it's 1.5% across the entire state, and that gets split up by district. I
So
did
breaking
give,
it down to district.
sorry, I did give Carl that information. It was only within the past few days, but he should be able to get that to you of the breakdown of exactly what that cost looks like in the district, as well as what we've allocated. I think that your request was like the past 5 years or 10 years in Pasco County, but we have that information for you that we'll get to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks again, Jensen. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Glad you were here, too.
Correct. Thank you all.
Carl, one more thing?
2 quick things for the landscaping, just to follow up. Part of that also is when landscaping is done, it is the responsibility of the local unit of government typically to then maintain it.
Right.
So we'd have to acknowledge that going forward. The second thing I want to point out is if you look at our current TIP, which we're under today, what Jensen presented here is what starts July 1. This new work program he shared with us represents a over $40 million increase from what we are currently enjoying. I thank you for the raise. That is very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And I would ask that you each thank DOT also.
Yes, we certainly do, and thank you for
Right.
pointing that out, Carl. Thanks again, Jensen.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason.
Just stay on the DOT, don't go anywhere for us, okay? Okay, item 9, correct?
Yes, please. This will be Ms. Tina Russo with MPO staff presenting our active transportation Vision Zero activity.
Good morning. This is our final update of, actually, our Vision Zero Project 2 and our active transportation plan, which was our very first active transportation plan for Pasco MPO. So, yep, this is one of many drone shots that were part of actually Vision Zero and active transportation. This is Starkey Ranch School in that right-hand corner, range end to the far left. These drone shots have been used by the Sheriff's Office, by the school board, by several different agencies that were taken part of, again, our active transportation plan and Vision Zero. It was a big part of our Safe Routes to School project that we did with the Sheriff's Office and the school safety group and traffic ops for that first day of Starkey Ranch School opening up. Next slide, please.
Well, can I ask you a question on that picture?
You might be able to see something. Go ahead.
No, I don't see it in this picture, but on the other picture. With the queuing here on, gosh, is that rain, it's,
So that's actually
Lake Blanche?
Lake Blanche right there.
So do you see where, I see where the cars are stacked up?
Mm-hmm.
And I see where they go to 2 lanes to go into the traffic circle on the right-hand side. Why, but I see more space behind it. Why are they not allowed to start queuing earlier than that? Because I think it would.
So these pictures were taken actually
See
the
what I'm saying?
second
Yeah,
day,
School
the
opening,
first
yeah.
week, second day of school, all right? Which grateful that we were able to get drone shots so quickly of it. And I'll give you a little bit, and this is part of this presentation, that next slide. So we helped, and Casey and I and the MPO staff volunteered to help the Sheriff's Office and the school safety people with that first week of school. So what we really wanted to do is establish that safe routes to school. And what I mean by that, we wanted to engage and educate students how to get to school safely. And because there's over 1,600 students at this school, and because of the uniqueness of Starkey Ranch, being able to use bike ped, it gave us a great opportunity to do that. And that's what we want to do, is take advantage of that opportunity. Because it's such a big area, we couldn't, and I'll do the Sheriff's Office, could not afford a traffic safety officer or a crossing guard at every location. So with the help, actually it is the Sheriff's Office that kind of dictates that safe routes to school based on where you're going to have crossing guards and traffic officers as well. Next slide. So we assisted the Sheriff's Office in educating and engaging students that first week of school with how to get safely to school. All right? So first day, everybody drives. Fortunately, a little more walked and biked that first day, and as people were stuck in that queue line all over Lake Blanche, Heart of Pine, Longspur, as people were stuck in traffic and they saw their neighbors riding, walking, scooters, everything to school, the next day there was probably 20% plus because it was the better route to school. So Casey got one spot, but we wanted to educate as people were going, and parents were taking their kids to school on what we call tag-alongs. any and all different types of modes of transportation. It gave us that opportunity to say, hey, this is why we want you to go this direction. You know, it's not always the path of least resistance, it's actually what's safest for you, how many times you're going to have those conflict points. So it gave us a really great opportunity to build relationships with the sheriff's department, build relationships with that school, and then we basically volunteered that first week to help them educate those kids how to get safely to school. Great opportunity for us because they had a different way to do that. 6 buses, everybody either drives or finds another mode of transportation. So this was just one part of our Vision Zero and Active Transportation Plan, one of many. Next slide. So one of the biggest things that we needed to do with this very first Active Transportation Plan is we needed to update our data, our sidewalks, our bike lanes, all our multi-use paths. So that took quite a bit of time. Some of them were incorrect. So this layer right here is actually our sidewalks. We were fortunate enough that we had some data for sidewalks. Usually sidewalk data is really, really hard to get. So we had the opportunity through different sources, one of them being SwiftMud, but we were able to pull out that data and give it to our GIS folks. So now I have an updated data for sidewalks. We even know which side of the road the sidewalk's on, so it gives me a chance to also see, you know, I can go to a crash and then look and see if there's a crosswalk missing, if the sidewalk is on the wrong side of the road. So it gives us that opportunity to be able to use that data. So that's not only sidewalks. Sidewalks are a big one. So the next one is we also did our bike lanes and multi-use paths. So we have all those layers. So these are our bicycle, and again, and we just talked about the Tri-County, the regional map. So it's interesting, Hillsborough has a different kind of definition for their layers. We have a little bit of different definition for our layers, and then Hillsborough has a little bit different definition. So it's really hard to mingle, to connect those things. But this is our actually bicycle facilities, which will include what we call paved trails, which means it's totally separated from the roadway. We call our multi-use paths. There are paths separated from the roadway, but they're usually along the roadway. Starkey Gap along Starkey Boulevard is a prime example of that. So Rangeland is another example of that. Next slide. So what we found is we had our facilities, which is our collectors and arterial roads, but we were missing lots of different facilities in our MPUDs. Starkey Ranch, Bexley, all those. So this was the real big task here, is pulling out as much as we could from those MPUDs, what they have existing or planned for the future. So when we start connecting, we can see where those missing gaps are. So this was a lot of that work here, is pulling out the private part, the non-public part of the development, what facilities have. Some of them have maps, some of them don't have maps, some of them have something just in writing. So there were several different of those that we looked at and started inputting in our GIS system. Next. So we also wanted to pick some brains, folks that are similar to us, and then also our neighbor to our south, which is Gina Torres and Wade Reynolds, who have been doing this a long time. So we took that opportunity to talk to several different folks and see what they did as they grew and how they did their active transportation plan, how they did their multimodals. So it gave us a chance to kind of pick those brains and kind of brainstorm on how we need to proceed from this plan and those next steps. And then next. So it also gave us a chance to do some videos. RFBs, Carl's going to talk about RFBs, which are rapid flashing beacons. He'll be talking about those a little bit. So we took the opportunity to do some videos, some library videos that we built upon for education and engagement. The Trinity crossing at Starkey Gap, the Coastal Anclote RFB crossing. So we did quite a few videos as part of the Vision Zero plan as well that we can use now and in the future. Next. And then also we looked at different areas. We looked at the Trilby Roundabout, we looked at the new, and I guess the Dade City Bike Hub's done, right? So it's done. So we looked at different corridors, different projects that were happening around the county as well, and kind of incorporate them for our active transportation and plan and how we can take advantage of them in the future. And then next. So we also got the chance to partner with our Parks Department and take advantage of some of their trail rules and kind of use them and do some videos on different trail rules as well. And then there's another drone shot of the Starkey.
What trail is that?
That's Starkey Gap, and that is just, I think, south, because it's all in the Duke corridor there. So, and then also we've had, is there one more slide, or are we on that other one? Okay. So we also had the opportunity with our active transportation plan and our Starkey Ranch opportunity that the FDOT quarterly newsletter represented. It kind of showed those two articles as well as far as. So we've had some publicity through FDOT, and then Bike Walk just published something about that as well.
But they're just telling me that Angela passed away.
What? Oh, sorry.
One of Angela that passed away with COVID.
Board meeting.
Wow.
Does anyone
Is
know
that
that?
a couple board meetings ago?
She passed away from COVID?
Oh. Sorry to
Two
hear
board
that.
meetings.
I am really sorry to hear that.
2 board meetings ago on Tuesday morning.
So that is it. I know that you had a comment or concern about the 54 overpass at Suncoast. We have, and I'll say we have, it's actually more Sam and project management has done quite a bit of negotiation and discussion with DOT because it goes over 54, but definitely with Turnpike. In fact, the design has a lot to do with to make sure we had the spacing for that overpass that would never interfere with anything with the widening of 54 or the widening of that overpass over 54 for Turnpike.
So when can we expect a shovel in the ground, since we're quite a few years late?
So I know what Sam had talked about, that we're probably talking next year construction will start. And I believe DOT is going to actually do the construction for the overpass at 54, just makes it easier because it is going over their road.
Okay.
Anything more for Tina? Well, thank you for the good report.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great job.
Hey, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Do you mind, we have the addendum on the CAC members, and I know they've been waiting, and we usually stop at 12. Can we move them up real quick? Because we found a solution.
And Mr. Chairman, I had asked Patty Chris to forward the email to everyone. There are 2 at-large members vacancies.
Yeah, we got it, yep, exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Fixed.
Patty was
so if we
right
can
on
move
top
that
of
up?
that. Thank you, Patty, and
And
not
it
sure if
is-
she's here. She's not
It
here.
is the item 13, is that what we're moving up?
It's an addendum.
Is that right?
Yes.
It's on the addendum,
changes?
yep.
Okay, so if everybody's okay, I'm going to go ahead and move the item 13 to now, and I appreciate y'all being so patient with us. So who is going to handle 13?
I'll be happy
Make
to
a
introduce that if I
motion.
may.
Okay.
We have 2 individuals who have expressed an interest in serving on the Citizens Advisory Committee of the Pasco County MPO. We have 2 vacancies for an at-large member, and it seems having 2 applicants and 2 vacancies is a match made in heaven.
Yes.
I'll
Move to
leave
approve
you to
Christie-
take it
Move
from
to
here.
approve Christie
Second.
Zimmer, and then, yes, and Jim Eggleman for both
I have a
open seats.
motion and a second.
You guys are good with that? You guys are good with that? Okay.
Thank you, too. Motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your patience, too.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you for bringing.
And I
Yeah.
appreciate Patty Chris working so quickly to get that distributed, and Carl.
All right,
And-
it was not me, it was the team over here,
Tania's over there.
Tania and Scott.
Very good. Thank you, guys, for working hard on that. So we're at item 10, correct? The US 98 presentation?
Yes, Mr. Craig Fox with Florida DOT will be presenting this item.
Good morning, MPO Board. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Craig Fox, Florida Department of Transportation District 7, here to present on the US 98 project. And I'm sorry, this is... Okay, gotcha. Yes.
This is
Awesome.
on your
Great.
priority
Thank you.
list. You're gonna put that down.
Yep, perfect. All right, so thank you, everybody, for having me here today. First, I'll just kind of like to start off with an overall corridor viewpoint to see where we are with the overall program. So on the screen here, I have multiple projects shown on the screen, going all the way from Polk County north to Hernando County. One thing I want to note on the screen is that the light items in black shown on the graphic to the left, those indicate areas of Corridor 98 and 301 that are already 4-lane segments. And then so we're just filling in the pieces to bring the roadway from widen the roadway from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. So as you can see, so it starts with all the way District 1, well, after District 1 in Polk County, and then goes north to Hernando. And the segment we're here to talk about today is from County Road 54 to US 301. Oh, sorry. Oh, it works. Let me go back a little bit. All right. So on the map in green, that shows the segment that we're here to discuss today. For the Ped study, we look at a longer corridor, of course, than the design segments are. So the design segments are split into 2 projects, what we call 443368-3 to the south end that goes from County Road 54 to Old Lakeland Highway. And then 443368-4, that's the design segment from Old Lakeland Highway to US 301. That also includes a new alignment portion. There are bridge crossings over the Hillsborough River and also over Old Lakeland Highway and the CSX Railroad. And there are right-of-way impacts for, of course, the roadway reconstruction, and also floodplain compensation and stormwater management facilities. We will have a public hearing December 2nd, 5:30 p.m., and have more information on that as we get down into the slides. So just overview US 41, US 41, sorry, I just had a public meeting on that a couple weeks ago, so it's still in my head, fresh in my head. So US 98, it's a regionally significant corridor. It's connecting to US 301 and also to I-4. It's part of the freight mobility corridor network, at least portions of it are, up until Old Lakeland Highway. And just a fun fact, it spans from Palm Beach all the way to Mississippi. It also serves as an alternate route to I-75 in some instances. The purpose of this project is to realign the northern segments of 98 to provide for safety increases, especially during those close segments of Clinton Avenue and 301, and also with 301 intersecting to where US 98 currently is today. So on the screen now, I have the current typical section. It's a 2-lane roadway, 1 lane in each direction, currently 12-foot lanes. And the 2 bridges have a pretty similar typical section, 1 lane in each direction, both of them 12-foot lanes. And next I'll go into the proposed typical sections. So we're breaking this down into segments. We're starting at the southern end and going to the north. So typical section 1 goes from County Road 54 to just north of Townsend Road. So that widens the roadway from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. Right now, the road is set up on the center line, so we'll be widening both to the north and to the south. In these options, in these typical sections. And for the most part along this segment, we are within the right-of-way. There are some corner clips, and of course there are, the ponds for stormwater treatment and floodplain compensation. But for the most part, during typical section 1, we are within the right-of-way. Next, I want to go to typical section 2. This is a realignment from north of Townsend Road to east of Cindy Lane. Cindy Lane is on Clinton Avenue on the north side of that realignment. This realignment alternative was previously done within an alternative corridor evaluation that completed late last year. So that's how we came to this alternative. So this involves a new roadway where one is not today. It'll be a 4-lane roadway, and then on the south side, we're proposing a 12-foot shared use path, and the north side, we're proposing a 6-foot trail. Sorry, a 6-foot sidewalk.
You got it.
And then the third and final typical section, this would realign with Clinton Avenue, which would become the new US 98, connecting over to US 301. This is also a 4-lane facility. This one does have bike lanes along this roadway and also a 10-foot shared use path on the south side of the roadway with a 6-foot sidewalk to the north. Now, covering the bridge typicals, I'm going to start with the bottom one, going again from south to north. The first one is cross over the Hillsborough River. This one is proposed as 2 12-foot lanes in each direction, along with 10-foot outside shoulders and 6-foot inside shoulders. For the bridge crossing over Old Lakeland Highway and the CSX Railroad tracks, we're proposing, of course, 12-foot lanes, 2 in each direction, along with a 10-foot shoulder. You may notice in this typical section there is additional 10 feet on the outside. The reason why we have that on there is to accommodate a future trail. What we want to do is, we want to try to build the bridge structures, only touch it once, especially when you're covering CSX right-of-way, so that's why we have those accommodations. South of Townsend Road, currently in the PD&E, we do not have a trail proposed in there. It's because with the information that we know now, we're just not really confident that we can actually fit it in without impacting the right-of-way, and then you get into impacts with the green swamp to the south, so that gets into more environmentally sensitive areas. So around there, we're especially really trying to stay within the right-of-way. Our design folks are looking to add that in, probably post, oh, wait, I think the button by accident, sorry. So our design folks are looking to add that in to the project, but we don't want to kind of promise more than we know that we can deliver right now. So we are trying to get sidewalks and trails all the way down to County Road 54, but we don't want to just, commit to something that we're not really confident on at this moment. All right, now covering our stormwater management and floodplain compensation. So we did an environmental look around. We evaluated regional ponds and also converting land types to improve water quality in basins. We currently have proposed 8 new off-site stormwater management facilities and also 2 floodplain compensation sites, requiring approximately 105 acres of additional off-site right-of-way for stormwater management and floodplain compensation. Now, the environmental effects, we cover a multitude of different items, natural resources, which cover the wetland surface waters, and also targeting endangered species. Archaeological cultural resources, which covers archaeological and historic resources. There are 2 identified, one of them being that Polk County Monument, which we are not going to impact with this project. Also, social economic resources, community impacts, relocations, and also noise and contamination as part of the physical resources. So covering the right-of-way impacts, there are 37 proposed partial or full parcel acquisitions proposed, 29 parcels for the 98 road widening and realignment, and then 9 parcels are for the stormwater management facilities. We're anticipating 6 potential residential relocations, and currently proposed are 0 business relocations. This is a timeline of where we are in the process. So the PD&E study started off in the beginning of January. Currently, we are updating and completing our environmental documents. We have drafts in progress, and we're just working through them, reviewing them, and sharing them with our OEM office. We have the public hearing scheduled December 2nd of this year, and then we're anticipating completing the PD&E phase in early '22. And I'm just going to cover the overall work program cycle, covering both PD&E and design. So these are design build for construction, so that's why in the design column, you just have design build. It's not kind of the traditional setup, because design build kind of combines that to speed up the process. So as mentioned before, we do split, the first row is the PD&E study, which we're in right now, so that one is fully funded. And then the other 2 rows indicate those 2 design segments that we split the projects into. So the first one being from County Road 54 to Old Lakeland Highway. That one, the right-of-way is funded in fiscal year '22. Construction is not yet currently funded, and the same goes for Old Lakeland Highway to US 301. We do anticipate getting construction funding hopefully later on this year. We'll probably know more by the public hearing, but right now it's just not in our 5-year work program. All right, so the public hearing, of course, we want, as many people to come out as possible. And now the department is actually statewide. We've committed to doing not only in-person, but also virtual meetings also. We had a public meeting recently, 41 and 54, and it was a great success. We had like 45 people show up in person. We had 49 show up online, so it's a great opportunity for folks that can't make it out there in person, and we're going to do the same thing for all our public meetings moving forward. So this one's the same. We're going to have in-person locations, going to be at the Pasco County Fairgrounds, and virtually it will be via GoToMeeting. We have not sent out any public notices yet. We'll get those out around mid-November. And of course, we'll send that notification to all of our elected officials per the usual process first. All right, so we do have a project website available. As we get around 10 days out from the public meeting, we'll upload all of the boards and all the presentations, and the videos will be uploaded to the website. So around 10 days before we even have the public meeting, the public can come out to the website and look at all the materials. That website is active right now, but those documents obviously aren't on there. And my contact information is also on the screen also. Now I'd like to open up for questions. And also, as always, just want to remind everybody, just be alert today, alive tomorrow. Just remind folks that safety does not happen by accident. And thank you.
Any questions for Craig? No. We appreciate the information. Thank you, and we look forward to the meetings upcoming, too.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, item 11.
So this is a guardian ad litem presentation. Larnell Scott has joined us today and will share with us a little bit about a new license plate.
Well, greetings. I bring you greetings from the Pasco County Guardian Ad Litem Program. As I'm probably preaching to the choir, I'm sure, but I just got to give them a little spiel for the program. As of August of this year, which are the latest stats that we have, there were over 1,100 abused, neglected, and abandoned children in the foster care system right here in Pasco County. And so these children need a voice. They deserve a voice, and that's why we exist at the Guardian Ad Litem Program. We advocate for and represent the best interests of these children because they can't speak up for themselves in court or sit at a meeting and understand the goings-on, what's happening with their case. And so we depend heavily on citizen volunteers to help us to do this work. But most recently, the state approved the Guardian Ad Litem Program to have a license plate. So we're very happy about that. As a result, there's a statewide push and effort where we are asking our community leaders and influencers if they wouldn't mind taking a picture with the plate to help garner support and participation in purchasing the plate, as well as raising awareness and helping us to recruit volunteers. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm ready for the photo shoot whenever you guys tell me.
There's the man in charge right there.
Can I have you come on down, please?
I would like to say,
And
Chairman.
there's a certain way we have to take them. If you can take them, that
Mr.
would be great, and send them to me.
Yes, and I would like to say something as well. As a guardian ad litem for several years and now a foster parent, so you cannot be a guardian ad litem and a foster parent at the same time in the same county, I will not only take photos with it, I will also be going to update my license plate as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you
you.
do, and it's
Thank
a
you.
job very much needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what we need to do, I've been given very strict instructions. So, first of all, separately, if we can get that logo, that would be good. One by one, so we'll start with you, Commissioner, Chair. We need to take one photo with the title so that, because everybody over the state doesn't know who you are. Just like that? All smile, every time. Yeah, you go. One photo, and then one photo just by himself without this. He was given the instructions. Okay, then two photos, one just holding it and then a fun pointing thumbs up or whatever. So two photos, one with him just holding it and smiling.
He's used to posing like that for the mug shots. And he usually makes the license plate.
Make this a fun one. Yeah.
Feels right at home. Perfect.
Great. Ms. Starkey?
You get an attorney to help you out here.
And then a fun one. Perfect. Okay. Mike, any more?
All right. Here we go. Sir? All right. push it out like I do my fish, because they like bigger. That could be a fun one. All right, there you go. Thank you. Awesome, you got it. Perfect. That was our last one, right?
Yeah, just a couple more quick items. I'll move to the project prioritization agenda.
One more.
I'm not sure, that's that.
Can we get a group one? I'm sorry. We do need a group one.
One more with everybody?
Oh, okay.
What let's say he's looking at you.
You wanna just hold it in the middle? Oh, really? You're gonna jump in?
No,
That was
they
color.
need to hold
Because
this
he
first.
sat in a,
Whoever's in the middle can hold that one,
well, put the chair in the middle.
just so they'll know who's that.
How can you get in the middle of 4 people?
We have other celebrities here.
Wait a
It's
minute.
not just.
You guys are doing really well. Right here, just a couple more.
And then,
I think they
here we
maybe
go.
did this before, like on Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah, we were gonna do this at the board, but they had a problem getting the license plate.
Well, why don't we do one with the whole MPO?
Let's see, can I get those?
And one more right here, folks. Thank you.
I want you guys open one of these.
Not that we're celebrities. We have other people that get passed the paper here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're the MPO.
Oh, I was gonna talk to you. All right, everybody look right here.
Can we get a fun one with everybody?
Really not? That was the official, we need another fun. Yes.
I do, but they're not public. And I said, I don't like your arm. If you can vote. And you did. And it looks like I'm very nice in there. And all I want you to do is add the word "and go poverty."
So that was number 11, right?
Yeah. Okay, 11.
And there's so many things that you can.
All right. We are on item 12. Is that right? Yep. Okay. Want to go ahead?
So item 12 is, last month, we had an update to the Citizens Advisory Committee membership. We're bringing to you the Technical Advisory Committee membership. There is one change from your packet. Since your publication at their meeting on Tuesday, the Technical Advisory Committee also asked that the T-BARTA representative be a Mr. Brian Passario. So at their meeting, they approved that and requested your approval of he, as well as then the membership changes in your packet.
Move to approve.
Second?
Have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Oh, yeah, which we did 13, now we're on 14. Thank you.
So item 14 is a change to the MPO bylaws. At our last meeting, we made a change to the interlocal agreement. Upon reviewing the interlocal agreement, Federal Highway Administration asked us to make some adjustments to the MPO bylaws. In your packet is a strike-through underlined version as well as a clean version. The changes are targeted specifically at the role of the MPO, specifically my role as Executive Director and my relationship to you as a board.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, 15.
15 is the Pasco MPO project prioritization methodology. This is a spreadsheet. It's the last item in your packet. This is a methodology in which we would then score projects that are ideas only at that point, but we would then be able to rank these based upon factors such as safety and security, mobility, freight, the economy, as well as project readiness. This is something that we do not currently have, that ranking methodology. This will allow us to align our request for federal funds with Florida DOT. My hope is that we will be able to then demonstrate continuity in our program, and also, because of our great deal of state funds, they may find some of our projects favorable, and I'm frankly and very boldly going to say I'm hoping we can also capture some state funds.
No,
So-
this is great. I'm so glad we're elevating ourselves to this professional level, so thank you very much. I would move to approve this.
Do we need action on this item or not?
We do not need action
Oh,
on it.
okay.
This is for your guidance, please. The one thing I do need to note, and I want to be expressly clear on this one, this methodology is not, emphasize, not to affect the county or municipal funds that you individually have to put on projects. This is only for federal funds. So I don't want there to be any confusion. The county may use this process and municipalities may use this process to pursue federal funds, but we should in no way, shape, or form through this process try to influence your local funds.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it.
I need to be exceptionally clear so that we did not have any confusion here.
Thank you. And thank you for putting together the ranking system that you have. Does anybody else? I know we're at the end of the agenda. Anyone else have anything for the good of the board?
All right, so then if it is with desire of this board, we will advance this forward. We do recognize there are some categories on here that we've been working to accumulate points on or to score them, and we're finding better sources of data. We will bring you an updated version to this along with projects that are scored at our next meeting. If I can take just a small liberty with some quick updates that are not agenda items, and it will be very brief.
We're at 12:20 now.
Yes, I'm going to make this real fast. We have a new member of the MPO staff, Johnny Kors, who joined us.
Welcome, Johnny.
I will ask that our rapid flashing beacons, there's been legislation in the last 2 sessions to basically force the removal of these perhaps. Let's watch the legislature for that. It could create a significant safety issue.
We don't want that. We want those to stay, everybody.
T. Barta did ask if there was an interest by us as an MPO to study the CSX line for potential passenger rail. And I would add to that, we may want to instruct them, if they're going to go down that path, to look at similar corridors, but maybe a light rail that would be along 41 or some alternate to CSX. I promised I would bring that before you to see if you had feedback and if it was a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And lastly, federal transportation bill. It's on a continuing resolution through the end of this month. If that bill does pass, that has been proposed previously, it's 5-year funding. We should see some significant increases in funding. I think we'll have a lot of fun with more money. That is all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Carl.
I had one thing. So, I sit on TBARTA and the TMA, and we are working on a big regional meeting that I'm sure, we want to include all TBARTA. We want really all elected officials involved in transportation in the Tampa Bay area to attend. And I'm sure more information will be coming out. But it is on Friday, December 10th. I think District 7 is doing it. And we don't have a location, but that's the day that the TMA usually meets. But they hope for this to be a much bigger meeting. And we have a lot, it's a Friday, have a lot of elected officials there.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
it's all for elected officials.
Can you just make sure and send that date or just a reminder out to us possibly? That would be great.
We shall.
Is that from 9 to 12?
It probably will be, but they have it.
AMA leadership?
The TM, that's when we normally meet. One more thing, at TBARTA, we realized that we don't have a formal interlocal agreement amongst all the participants at TBARTA. And so we are working on sending something to all the participating counties and cities. And at that meeting, we learned that the city of Tampa and the city of St. Pete, while longtime members of TBARTA, don't pay anything. And it's just the counties. And so we're going to be asking them to help fund it, like this funds it. And so and we think that will be very helpful because frankly, Hillsborough County, the commissioner who sits on T-BARTA from Hillsborough County has been a thorn in the side of T-BARTA. And, I just think this will really be good for everybody on in all the counties that participate to be on the same, to make sure we're all on the same page and get it in writing, which I think will be part of that interlocal.
Very good. Yes.
And lastly, just the IMPO conference was extremely informative, and I would like to encourage anyone else that would like to go to start planning for next year.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, meeting is adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.